there is more and more research showing that type 2 diabetes can be prevented, in many cases reversed, with comprehensive lifestyle changes? Join us every Friday at noon, where we empower you with the education that can help you reverse type 2 diabetes. Hello, my name is Dr. Lynne, emergency medicine physician from Sheffield, and I'm here with my lovely co-hosts, Dr. Erica, GP from the West Midlands, and we are both lifestyle medicine physicians. You're here with Petya, lead diabetes dietitian from Coventry, and Lynne, lifestyle medicine nurse from Glasgow.
Type 2 diabetes is completely preventable by making simple but powerful lifestyle changes without drugs or surgery.
Yes, we said it, and on Fridays at 12, we'll keep saying it. Plus, we're going to give you the evidence and the practical steps you need to take control of your type 2 diabetes.
Absolutely. And today we are talking about fats. In one of our previous sessions, we discussed how too much fat causes insulin resistance. Please do check out our previous episodes to learn more about that. Well, people with diabetes are often advised to follow low-carb diets. And if carbs make a small part of your diet, that means most of your energy has to come from proteins and fats. Small amount of fat is essential in our diet, of course, but eating a lot of fat can influence our insulin sensitivity. Let's explore this question further. So we're going to jump straight in with trans fats. Petya, could you tell us a little bit more about trans fats and why are they so bad for our bodies?
Trans fats are actually the most dangerous type of fat. Even small amounts of trans fats can directly increase your bad cholesterol, they decrease your good cholesterol, they cause inflammation all throughout your body, they speed up the rate at which plaque builds up in your arteries, and they also increase your risk of dementia. So they have a lot of bad negative health effects. Also, more importantly for our discussion here on Fridays, is they directly impair the ability of your insulin-producing beta cells in your pancreas. So they make it more difficult for your pancreas to respond to the fact that there's glucose in your blood. So it's no surprise that they're associated with developing type 2 diabetes.
I must pick out the words vascular inflammation that you just mentioned. It is very important. It's something that we're going to dwell deeper in the future episodes. But let's learn a little bit more about which foods have trans fats.
The trans fats are naturally found in small amounts, but they're naturally found in beef, pork, lamb, butter, milk. They also can be man-made through a process called hydrogenation. So that process turns liquid fats into solid ones. And we do it because it creates a spreadable product that has a long shelf life. So a lot of processed foods will contain trans fats, things like cakes, pies, cookies, biscuits, margarine, crackers, donuts. The good news is that the UK government has urged companies to reduce trans fats because they're so bad. And if a food contains trans fats, it needs to be put on the label. So you might see things like partially hydrogenated vegetable oil on the label. That's a type of trans fat. Now, it isn't an outright ban, but most supermarkets have taken the message on board and they've removed hydrogenated vegetable oils from their own brand products. And obviously, you still need to be careful and check the label to see what they've replaced it with, because that can often be palm oil, which is high in saturated fat, and we'll talk about it later today.
And are trans fats a concern in the UK?
So because they are so dangerous, ideally we shouldn't be eating any of them. And we know there isn't yet a ban on them in the UK. The UK government advises that we should have no more than 5 grams. And when we survey people in the UK, we see that they eat about 2 grams. Now, of course, there's the problem with people underreporting how many cakes and biscuits they're eating. But if we trust the data, it does seem like people are well below the danger zone. However, out of those same surveys, it seems like people in the UK eat a lot more saturated fats than would be advised. So that should be the main focus, I think, would be reducing saturated fat.
And this 5 gram is associated with some level of risk. So does that mean eliminating our trans fats completely would help us gain health? So elimination is better than playing with risk?
Yeah, I would say so, because 5 grams is considered an acceptable level of risk. Whereas if you can reduce them even further, that reduces your risk more and more.
So it's definitely good to remember here, whilst there is an acceptable risk, whatever that might mean to one, it's just better to eliminate it completely. It is health promoting to not have them. So better to get rid of them if we can. So you mentioned about saturated fats, and we would like to get a little bit deeper into this topic. Lynne, could you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, of course. So saturated fats are naturally occurring fatty acids, and they're found both in animal and in plant foods. So mainly in meat, poultry, fish, dairy products and eggs, but also in things like coconut oil, palm oil, and coconuts, and in small amounts in vegetable oil, avocados, nuts and seeds.
So you did mention quite a few ranges of food products here, which is really difficult to get around in a busy day, from fish to dairy, eggs, avocados, nuts. So let's have a look. How does it affect our bodies?
Okay, so basically the saturated fat affects cell structure, particularly within the muscle and the liver. And the structure changes as there is a reduction in the insulin receptors as well as the glucose transporters. So basically the body cannot use the glucose that it takes in as fuel, and it traps the glucose and the insulin in the bloodstream for long periods of time. As the fat tissue accumulates excess fatty acids, this causes the tissues and the cells to have a chronic low-grade inflammation, and that isn't great because it directly inhibits the action of insulin, which then directly affects the ability of the beta cells in the pancreas to manufacture and secrete insulin. So all of this then contributes to fatty liver disease and liver cirrhosis, as the liver doesn't realise that there is enough glucose in the bloodstream. So basically, it just continues to produce more because it thinks you don't have enough. It's confusing, and it takes a wee while to get your head around, particularly as I mentioned that foods like nuts and seeds, which we do promote, also have saturated fat. But Petya, can you explain to me why we still promote them?
Yeah, so of course, because saturated fat is found throughout a range of different foods, unlike trans fats, which you can avoid completely, you can't really avoid saturated fat. So whilst I don't want people to be eating really high saturated fat foods, so I would never recommend that people increase their intake of coconut oil or palm oil, or high, really fatty meats or high fat dairy. Foods like nuts and seeds and avocados that only have a small amount of saturated fat are okay to have, because as we know, food comes as a package deal, and healthy high fat foods like avocados, nuts and seeds, they come in with a lot of other nutrients that are beneficial to us.
Yes, and also not only they are beneficial, but as we always mention, the key word here, fiber, they contain a lot of fiber, and this makes it harder for the body to break down the package. It takes longer time for the microbiome to break it down, thus the release is much slower. And there's only so much of these foods that we can eat in large quantities before the body says, I had enough. And one way I like to think about the quantity of nuts and seeds that we should be eating is by using your palm as a measure. If you have just a small handful of these nuts and seeds in your daily diet, you can know that you are in the right range of the quantity, and you should only put it on your salad because, unfortunately, if we eat it out of a bag, we well know that throughout a movie we can eat a large bag of pistachios or other delicious nuts. So always just a small handful, and do spread it on your salad so that you don't indulge too much. So we have covered the saturated and the trans fats. And in both conversations, you ladies have mentioned low-grade inflammation. It's something that I just want our listeners to remember, that these fats have this underlying disease process associated with them, which is really prominent in chronic diseases. That's not just diabetes, but heart disease, dementia, and so much more. So now we're going to learn a bit about unsaturated fats. Could you highlight the benefits of unsaturated fats, Erica?
Sure. I'll just start by explaining what unsaturated fats are. So broadly speaking, there are two types: the monounsaturated and the polyunsaturated fats. And the difference between them is really their chemical structure. So in monounsaturated fat, there is one double bond between the carbon molecules. And in the polyunsaturated fats, there are two or more of these double bonds. And monounsaturated fats are considered non-essential because we can make them ourselves, whereas some of the polyunsaturated fats we can't make. So they are considered essential fatty acids. And the polyunsaturated fats so in terms of health benefits, when we substitute trans fats and unsaturated fats with these unsaturated fats, studies have shown that they don't just reduce the bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, but also reduces the risk of developing diabetes, especially with the polyunsaturated fats. And these are present, the unsaturated fats are present in all whole foods, even things that you don't consider fatty. So unsaturated fats are found in things like carrots, lettuce, and celery in very small amounts. And when we eat a varied whole food plant-based diet with plenty of different colors and varieties, we can actually meet the essential fatty acid requirements, the daily requirements for them.
And could we clarify a bit more the essential and non-essential unsaturated fats in practical terms, Petya?
Yeah, so the essential unsaturated fats are usually the omega-3s and omega-6s. People might have heard of them. There's a lot more talk about those. And omega-6s are found in a variety of foods. Most notably, I think most people get them from vegetable oils. And in fact, we tend to overconsume omega-6 fatty acids. So that's why the biggest discussion is around omega-3 fatty acids and where do we get them from. So sources of omega-3 are fatty fish, also flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. And in terms of, those are all things that where you can get omega-3s from. But we have to remember that, again, food is a package deal. So if you want to learn more about fish, tune in next week.
It is a controversial topic, but we do have to remember where omega-3 comes from, and that source of that is algae. So fish consume the algae, and that's how they get omega-3. And nowadays, fish are farmed, and so there is always a question: does the fish that you buy in store actually have the omega-3? or it doesn't. That all very much depends on the farming methods. So, ladies, thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. Do you think we have left anything out today?
I was actually going to show a picture of the different fats, just like we did last week with the carbohydrates. We showed the difference between processed carbohydrates and complex whole carbohydrates. So let's have a look at the different fats that we've got. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So again, just like carbohydrates, not all fats are equal. So we can see here a huge difference between the trans fats, saturated fats, and unsaturated fats. And we've already discussed the harmful effects and the benefits of these different fats.
It's a great visual. Thank you, Erica. It's very clear what trans fats are. Those are the goodies that you can find in hospitals on night shifts. No. Let's try to change those to whole foods, fruits and vegetables that can be just as tasty. Thank you very much for this wonderful discussion. Lynne.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is quite confusing, and I'm never sure what health promoting foods we actually can eat, so maybe we should go through it.
Absolutely. And I unfortunately am, as you can see, in a office today, so I don't have the kitchen available, but my lovely assistant today, Petya, will be showing you the beautiful rainbow of fruits that I would be promoting today. You can see very wonderful purple plum and grapefruit. Oranges and pears are delicious and really good for you. Whilst they are controversial, which is crazy in today's world, I am definitely on the side of fruits today. Petya, what have you got for our listeners?
We've talked about whole grains before. I think a lot of times people think about oats, kind of like porridge oats, the way they are here. But what some people might not know is that these are oats after they've been steamed and rolled in their natural form. This is what oats look like. So you get the whole grain, the intact grain, because when you steam it and roll it, you increase the surface area, which means your body can kind of attack it from more angles and can break it down quicker. So if you want to get a really slow release carbohydrate, intact whole grains, so things that actually look like the grain that it came from, that's your best choice.
Well, in today's really fast-paced world, our listeners might ask, well, how am I going to fit this into the real world, Petya? What would your answer be to that?
Yeah, if you do switch to those, obviously that's the downside. It takes your body longer to break it down, but they also take longer to cook. So if you cook them on the stovetop, it will take you an hour, which nobody has time to do that. I use a pressure cooker, so it only happens in 15 minutes. But if you don't have one, you can pre-soak them the night before in hot water, and then you just have to boil them for another 10-15 minutes in the morning.
So there's definitely always an answer if we ask the right questions and if we are willing to entertain a healthier future. So Erica, how would you promote health on your plate today?
So today I have got plenty of different lentils and beans with me. So I've got some red and green lentils, which I love to add to soups and stews. And I've got some beluga lentils here, and a whole bag of chickpeas, which I love to add to my salads, and some mung beans here as well. And I tend to sprout these and eat them as bean sprouts.
I did see your last bean sprouts. They looked really healthy and delicious. And you even, while we were working together, you even asked your husband to water them for you, which I thought was very caring. And Lynne, how are you promoting health on the plate today?
Well, as we go into the colder months, we get to eat soup, which is my absolute favourite, and I think it's really easy in fast-paced life. So I have my lovely vegetables of carrot, peppers, a leek, and some broccoli, all of which we put in our soups throughout the week.
It sounds and looks colorful and delicious. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please hit the subscribe button below and share away our episodes so everybody can learn how they can prevent, treat, and reverse type 2 diabetes to live a long and fulfilling life. If you would like to learn more and continue this conversation in our supportive online community, visit our website, afternoonteawithdocs.com. Thank you very much, ladies, for this brilliant session, and to everyone who tuned in today. We hope to see you next Friday at noon to learn more. Do check out our previous episodes to catch up and join our next conversation next Friday, where we will be discussing proteins and how they are affecting type 2 diabetes. See you soon. Bye.